We're now on the line being joined by Saeed al-Shahabi. He's a Bahraini opposition leader joining us from London. Many thanks for joining us here on Press TV, sir. Now, the Crown Prince of Bahrain has just said, and I quote, "Today is the time to sit down and hold a dialogue, not to fight," end quote. What do you say to that?
I think this is a misleading and part of the deception of this brutal regime. We have been calling for reforms for the past 10 years. On the past month, at least, we have been calling, and the people have been calling for a day of rage in order to get some reforms. But he and his regime and his father and his uncle refused to heed the call for any reform. Instead, they have arrested the best of our people in Bahrain, including scholars, academics, professionals, and tortured them beyond any belief. Now, at this 11th hour, when the regime is about to collapse, he is coming on the street after killing our youth, after stabbing us for the 10th time in the back, and talking about dialogue. I have personally sat with his father twice, in 2001 and in 2008, and has urged him to enter into dialogue. He has always refused any sort of dialogue. The only dialogue he knows has been to use force against protesters, against innocent people, to use the might of the state in order to crack down against the opposition, against the unarmed civilians. These people do not believe in dialogue. They never know except the language of force and power. And of course, our people, our Bahrain people, have always been peaceful, have always been civilized in their reaction and in their demands. But unfortunately, we are faced by a regime that is both antiquated, old, tyrannical, the hereditary dictatorship, and awesome in its dealing with the people. I do not think he was serious when he said it. I think it was just another ploy in order to prolong the life of a defunct regime.
Right. How do you assess the international response that's coming out regarding this uprising in Bahrain, especially from Bahrain's close ally, the United States?
There are two sides to this reaction, a positive and a negative side. The positive side is the international condemnation, even in the Western media, of the barbarism that is being waged against our people. We have seen the press in the West generally very favorable today and yesterday, pages after pages after pages, talking about the ferocity and the barbarism of this regime. This is the positive side, which represents mostly the aspirations and the feelings of the ordinary people. However, on the official side, it is deafening to see that both London and Washington almost kept quiet, apart from some statements that mean nothing. When Mr. Hague said this morning and yesterday morning that he wants and he urges the government of Bahrain to observe restraint, and when Hillary Clinton and President Obama say that there should be reforms, these are just words. In reality, it seems to me that they are supplying these people, this regime, with lethal weapons. The tanks that we saw rolling in the streets over the past 2 days, the tear gas canisters, the rubber bullets, and all other means and tools of death have been supplied by both the United States and Britain. And we know that today in the newspapers and tomorrow there will be many articles about the names and professions of those who have been supplying these lethal weapons to be used not against outside enemies, but against the people themselves. These arms, these tanks, these armored vehicles are meant to be used against outside threats, not to be rolled in the streets of Manama to face unarmed civilians who are sitting on the ground, very peaceful, very civilized, just asking for certain moderate demands. And then these tanks are just attacking them at the middle of the night when everybody is in the street. This is the most vicious regime, worse than Mubarak, worse than Tunisia. And what we saw today, people going on procession to bury their dead, they are suddenly attacked by these vicious troops who are mostly foreigners. With no mercy, with no humanity.
I'm afraid I'm going to have to cut you off there. We have run out of time. I apologize for that. That was Bahraini opposition leader Saeed al-Shahabi speaking to us from London. Many thanks, sir, for your comments here on Press TV.